Today, we talking trash talk. We talked about March Madness from beginning to end, and then at the end of it all, it turned into trash talk. But I'm going to tell you what's the big deal about trash talk and why you should be talking more trash in your own job.
Welcome to the Licensed to Live show, where professionals, doctors, champions, VIPs, attorneys, and those in public office discover strategies that help you restart and gain what is lost when you find yourself accused. If another has doubted your integrity, questioned your credentials, or caused your actions to come under scrutiny, you are in the right place. On the other hand, if you have never felt the knot in the pit of your stomach when legal papers are served, the heartbreak of disappointing your family when the lock clicks shut on handcuffs, or had to appear before a board of review, then be aware, the longer you serve, the more likely you are to find yourself under the microscope of those who judge. Prepare yourself for this uncomfortable possibility. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jarrett Patton.
Welcome to this episode of License to Live. My name is Dr. Jarrett Patton, and I'm your host for our journey together today and every day you choose to listen to this show. If you or anyone you know has been dissed in their career, please invite them to join us along this journey. Just go to your favorite podcast player and hit subscribe to License to Live. And while you're there, hey, rate this episode, tell me what you want to hear about, because we will bring it to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about trash talk. Trash talk has taken center stage if you've been scanning your social media reports, and it's been mainly brought up from a couple of players that played against each other in the women's NCAA championship game. And they are some premier athletes, and at the end of the day, they were talking trash to each other. And it had everybody in an uproar talking about, well, why can one person say it? Why can this one not say it? Why, does it go in women's sports at all? And this, that, and the other, people talking all types of trash about trash talking. I mean, come on. So today's episode, we are going to break down trash talk, where all of this infatuation with trash talk began, where you may see it, where you may not see it, and how you can incorporate it into your own job. And we'll get to all of that right after we finish thanking our sponsors.
Something smells good. EH3 coffee. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. Nothing better than waking up. EH3 in your cup. Premium organic. EH3 coffee. Nothing better than in the middle of your day. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. EH3 coffee.
Hey, this is Dr. Jarrett Patton. Do you need more positivity in your life? No matter what part of your life you want to transform, positive affirmations can help you achieve your goals. But sometimes making permanent changes can be difficult. Designed with you in mind, License to Live. Daily affirmations to rebuild your life will inspire and equip you to become the best version of yourself. License to Live. Daily affirmations to rebuild your life will set you on the path to changing your mindset, beliefs, speech, and ultimately your actions. You can change your life now by getting your copy at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your finer book retails, or licensedtolive.com. That's licensedtolive.com.
Hey guys, this is Janae Noonan, and I'm here with Dr. Jarrett on License to Live. Hit the subscribe, follow the journey, let's go.
Hey, I don't want you guys to forget, July 14th through 16th, License to Live, the conference, is coming soon. Make sure you register for your early bird tickets right now while they are still available. Whether you're coming in person or virtually, this is something you must do. LicenseToLive.com. Well, we talked about March Madness in episode 154, and it was a lot of fun because, well, March Madness is typically thought about as a NCAA college tournament that comes around every year where some of these greatest athletes on all these basketball teams get together and try to win that ultimate goal of championships. And so we talked about what happens when you get the championship, what happens when you don't get the championship, and all those kind of things back in episode 154, March Madness. Now, while we're on the topic of basketball and March Madness, I certainly want to shout out University of Connecticut Huskies. On the men's division, they brought the championship home, which is just another piece of hardware for them. And on the women's side, the Louisiana State University Tigers, they won their first national championship in basketball. So this too was a very, very highly sought after prize. And if a university has never had it, it's extremely special. So it goes to just showing what great hard work can do, great leadership, great teamwork, and it all comes together time after time after time. You achieve some pretty amazing goals. So everybody's going to have to go back and regroup and figure out where they're going. But one of the biggest things that ended up coming out of the women's game, and I sat there and watched, it really was a competitive game for quite some time. And there were two players particularly that got singled out. Angel Reese, she plays for LSU, and Caitlyn Clark, she plays for Iowa. And these were the last two teams in the championship final round, going toe-to-toe to see who would bring home the championship. And a lot was being made of some trash talking that was happening between these two players. You turn on your Twitter feed, you turn on your Instagram feed, it is everywhere. I'm even talking about it on this show. And you know what? When I first saw this happen, I was watching the game live and I was like, oh yeah, that's how things go. Sometimes, hey, you're going to get beat and somebody's going to throw a little shade your way. And I didn't think it was too big of a deal personally, but the coming days, people had nothing else to talk about except this one interaction between these two players. So, of course, the story is much bigger. And I'm going to take you back even farther in trash talk, because at the end of the day, people don't like trash talkers a lot of times unless they are the ones doing the trash talk. So when they see somebody else that they feel is not deserving of trash talk or this, that, and the other, it makes them feel like, hey, it is invalid. It's not something that they should be doing. Well, I beg to differ, because trash talk has its place. It definitely is a part of our American society, and particularly on the basketball court, there's a lot of trash talk. And we can go back to my days playing basketball back in high school, where, by the time, my junior, senior year was coming, I was getting some decent playing time, and I was a really good free throw shooter. And I had an extremely high percentage and ended up the season with maybe just over 80% free throw percentage, which, hey, for a big guy is pretty good. You want that consistency from the line. And I remember a game still to this day like it was yesterday. It was a very close game. It was coming down to the final minutes. We were behind, and I got the ball. I took it to the basketball. I got the ball. I took it to the hole, and on the way up, I get fouled. Well, okay, no big deal. Let's go to the free throw line and win the game from there. So I'm composing my nerves, finding my spot on the floor, finding my spot on the rim, visualizing what I'm going to do. And as I start my pre-shot routine, I look up to the basket again. But this particular gym was one of the few in our entire circuit. And in fact, this is more common now, but it was one of the few in the entire circuit where there was the student section right underneath the hoop. Now, when you look at TV today, all the big time arenas and stuff are built like that now so that fans can engage with the players in a way to hopefully make them miss some free throws. And as much as I saw those kids yelling at me and heckling me and harassing me, I said, this is going to be no problem. I'm going to still sink these 2 shots. And no, I missed the first shot. I said, okay, get your head together. Pre-game shot routine. Then I shoot the second one. Bang, off the back of the rim. Miss both of them. And ultimately, those 2 points would have definitely been needed if we wanted to win the game that day. So those fans were trash talking with me. I couldn't really trash talk back. Perhaps I just had to let my game speak for me, and my game did not come through at that time. So I felt dejected and went on about my way and, well, knew basketball wasn't going to be my career. But the point of this story is that trash talk is a part of basketball. And basketball culture in and of itself, people would maybe just be jawing and talking and screaming and talking junk throughout the entire game. Now, things have gotten very much more modest in these times. And now the talk is not really permitted as much as it used to be once upon a time. But if you're a fan of the game and you're watching the game, you're going to see people talking trash in a way that they normally may not do in just everyday society. So it may be some of these hand gestures that got Angel Reese and Caitlyn Clark all up at arms at each other. And at the end of the day, they both said about each other that they're excellent athletes. Trash talking is a part of the game. What's the big deal? I don't see why people are making a big deal about this. So I kind of feel bad for these 2 college students who become the middle of this national controversy where people are just trying to get up controversy. But trash talk has been tempered. And so there's certain words that are absolutely not used anymore. And if they are, perhaps a foul will be called on you or maybe even a technical. There's certain things you may or may not be able to say to referees, but in general, trash talking with referees is only going to get you in trouble. So people use other more subtle types of things. So if you see Joel Embiid going up and dunking over somebody and it was a tremendous dunk, the person he dunked over is on the floor, he may just hang on the rim and stare down at him and give him some looks or fall back to the floor and walk over him or something a little more subtle, but yet still trash talking. And what you saw Angel Reese and Caitlyn Clark do, they were just using little hand gestures here and there, like pointing to the ring finger. Hey, we're about to be champions up in this piece. You can't stop us. Or, hey, you can't see me. Talk to the hand, that waving in front of the face. So it's not that big of a deal when you look at it all together. But, and I think Angel Reese and Caitlyn Clark, one, got their brand elevated by all of this, and they stood up and were pretty classy because at the end of the day, they said about each other, they are great players and they're doing some cool things. So there's a place in trash talk for everything. So people say, well, why would you trash talk in the first place? Well, trash talking is another way to get a competitive advantage. And that's how I want you fire starters out here to think about it. It's about getting a competitive advantage. It's not about cheating. It's not about being mean. It's not about gaming the system. It's about competitive advantage. And because there are certain rules that can't be broken in basketball, for instance, well, talking trash is another weapon in the arsenal in order to help people gain a competitive advantage. So if people feel that they want to talk trash, well, they're going to do it because if they see that it gets into your head, and I'm talking to you fire starters, if trash talk gets into your head and they start seeing you being emotional or seeing your game fall apart, it is going to happen to you even more because it's designed to make you feel less than or not worthy of. And then you start having these self-doubts that you've done your best to put to the side, but they are always there and they may creep up if you don't keep them in check. So it's designed to take you off of your game so that you cannot play at your best, or you cannot work at your best, or you cannot simply exist as your best. And that is why trash talking gets a bad rap. Needless to say, trash talking is really not permitted in most professions when you think about it. So, of course, in sports, there are going to be varying levels of that based on the level of play. So we're talking about, third grade, park league, something versus, multi-million-dollar professionals. There's a scale of what's acceptable in trash talk. And ultimately, it comes down to culture. And so if you understand the culture of where people are coming from or what they're doing, then you can understand a little bit more about what's permissible. So to a casual fan, seeing these hand gestures or some of these things that happen, it may throw them off and say, I can't believe that they can do that. They're gloating and you're doing this and all of these negative things. But again, it's a part of gamesmanship and that championship mentality, because at the end of the day, nothing should set you off from your goal. And if it does, then there's some things that you should look back at in episode 154, March Madness. Next up, I'll give you a couple of things that you can do in order to talk trash around your workplace. And I'll give you a couple of things you can't do with some examples so that you can understand that trash talking is a part of everyday life. And if you change the word trash talk to competitive advantage, it doesn't sound so bad. And then you can follow me on the next part of this episode right after we finish thanking our sponsor.
The time is now to refresh your career. We help doctors, lawyers, executives, and VIPs refresh and restart. Dr. Jarrett's coaching helps you build confidence, gain more credibility, develop more leadership skills, and gain clarity in your career path. Want to climb the executive ladder or branch out on your own? We'll put your career in overdrive. Visit drjarrett.com and sign up for your free strategy session.
Yeah, I've had a great few calls lately. I'm glad a lot of you guys are taking me up on this free strategy session thing, because I've got to meet a bunch of great new people, really coast to coast, from California all the way back east. I've been able to meet a few new people, give a few great pointers, and they've gotten back to me and said, hey, this actually works. And I am succeeding. And so, folks, it is about getting help right now and taking actionable steps. And I love meeting new people. So make sure you're connecting with me on social media at Dr. Jarrett. Spell out the word doctor, J-A-2-R-E-1-T. Or, hey, catch me live and in person on a strategy session, time with drjarrett.com. Now, before the break, I was talking about, trash talk is a part of most professions. However, it is done in different ways. And again, if you switch up the negative connotation of trash talk or talking junk or sheep talking, most of you guys can look at the reasons this is done is to get a competitive advantage over your competitors. And so at the end of the day, you're all competing for jobs. We've talked about how jobs are being eliminated. We're talking about how these jobs that people have today should be held on to if they're good for you, because they may be gone tomorrow. So let's look at politics, for example. And I definitely dove into politics on episode 145, Lies and Embellishment, talking about ways that you shouldn't lie or embellish anything almost in any time, although it seems to be a little more acceptable in politics these days. But if you really follow politics, I don't care if it's your county commissioners, your state representatives, or even the folks that represent us in Washington, you will see people talking trash all the time, and it becomes a big part, especially if you have elections in May or you have elections in November or both, those ads that come on, trust me, you can see that talking trash is accepted in many places, including politics. So now that you can understand talking trash looks differently in each occupation, and at the end, people are talking trash in order to give themselves a competitive advantage, let's talk about a couple of things you shouldn't do. Well, the biggest thing you shouldn't do is just start popping off at the mouth or puffing up your chest and talking about me, and putting your coworkers down with every breath that is uttered out of your mouth. So you don't go around acting like a jerk, acting like you're playing in the NFL and using trash talk in the NFL or the NBA as your guide, and you're going to go back to your accounting firm and start doing the same thing. That is not going to get you very far. Same thing in medicine, guys. I mean, all of you in healthcare, if you show up and go into the C-suite and start talking trash, and that way, hand gestures, subtle movements, dunking over people, no, it's not going to work in your favor. So don't start popping off at the mouth. Don't start puffing up your chest, trying to make you look bigger than you are. That is not what you want to do. The second thing you don't want to do is to take other people down, because a lot of times, and maybe you guys have been in this situation, people are looking at you, people are pointing at you, people are trying to drag you down in an effort to build themselves up. And so that also isn't tolerated in the workplace, nor am I advocating that you do so. Even though other places like politics may display these things, again, you need to understand the culture of your environment. And the culture of healthcare is not about bringing individual team members down to lift yourself up or about using hand gestures for communication. It is a much different culture around it. And as a result, you have to think about it differently. So let's talk about ways that you can talk trash and, well, let's say it for real, you can create a competitive advantage in ways to separate yourself from others. And I'm going to stick in the field of healthcare for the healthcare fire starters out here, but you can put a lot of these things to work, even if you work outside of healthcare, because many of you guys have dozens and dozens of publications in the medical literature out there. You have been quoted, you have conducted studies, you have done analyses, and you are listed dozens and dozens and dozens of times in these publications. And that is a way in which you can talk trash, because a lot of times people forget about that or they don't know that. But it is up to you to remind people of the authority and expertise you have built in this time. So if you have scientific contributions, that's what you want to do. But it doesn't just end there. I mean, you may want to write a book about something. It could be a topic that's near and dear to you. It could be a topic that's near and dear to your family, or it could simply be a story about yourself. And again, writing a book is something else that will separate you from others. And it is a way of having a competitive advantage, because when you want to move to that next job, trust me, and I'm telling you right now, in the job market, people are looking at everything under a microscope. So everybody who has the same credentials and are highly qualified from some highly notable universities and colleges around the country, that is simply not enough to get the job. There needs to be something that distinguishes you, i.e. competitive advantage, i.e. trash talk, that will help you gain the attention of these other people. So media appearances can be another one of those things. Are you a notable person in the news, that you are a trusted source for news outlets? that yet is another way that you can create this competitive advantage or talk a little trash about the things that you do. And so don't get me wrong. And it's not about gloating and it's not about look at me. It's really about the contributions that you are adding to further make society great. And by you doing this, by you sharing your gifts with the world, you are serving a part of your purpose. And that is what is going to keep you happy. And that is what's going to keep you having longevity in a job that you wish to keep. And if there's a job that you don't wish to keep anymore, perhaps you have outgrown it. Perhaps it is not what you want to do with your life anymore. Hey, you need to do something to make yourself stand out from the crowd. So we're not talking hand gestures and popping off at the mouth, but we're talking about highlighting the things that you have done that make you proud of who you are and make you different than all the other people that are looking at you. So think about publications, think about media appearances, think about if you want to write a book. And I'll leave links into the show notes that tell you about how to write a book. And probably I need to even bring out the media appearances course back in too, because that's something that I think a lot of you guys would like to know a little bit more about, making good media appearances and standing out on television, radio, and of course, podcasts. So yes, March Madness is over and there was lots to talk about here, but I want you guys to talk more trash at your job. I want you to create a competitive advantage that makes you the ultimate choice over anyone else you're competing for, whether it's a new job, whether it's looking for a promotion in the institution you're there. All of these things can be done. And if you can't figure it out, hey, that's what I'm here for. Keep listening to this show. I love delivering it to you every single week. And if that still doesn't help, go to timewithdrjarrett.com and we'll set you up with that strategy session. Remember, fire starters, if you or anyone you know has been dissed in their career, please invite them to join us along this journey. Simply go to your favorite podcast player and hit subscribe. And in fact, what I want you to do is share this episode. If you listen to this episode, share it with just one friend. Tell them something that you learned. Tell them a jewel that you learned. And if you don't have a friend that you can share it with, hey, hit me up on social media, tag me and say, Dr. Jarrett, this was the gem. I am going to speak more trash. Well, no, you have to say it the right way. I'm going to talk more trash at work. And put it out there. And trust me, I'm going to see you and we're going to connect and we're going to have a great time. And that's what I want to do. So, hey, I'm hanging out on social media between these episodes. And until then, I'll see you next time.
No matter how disheartening the moment of accusation sounds, how deep the pain of immobilization stabs, or how bleak your future looks, no one can take away your license to live. Keep Dr. Jarrett's expertise handy and unlock your future. Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or another podcast player and subscribe right now to Licensed to Live. See you next time.